Hi, I'm Jesse. I have a lot of books and I'd like to share them with you. Today we're looking at 9 more cool European graphic novels you've probably never heard of. I love European comics, European graphic novels. If you haven't seen the other video, check it out. But there were just too many to contain in one video. Let's start off here by looking at the love books. Now, something called the love books, you're thinking it's a romance. It's some nice, sweet, fun, lighthearted books. No, these are terrifying. This is a series of books. I don't know why they're called love, but they're each about a different animal. And like a lot of European comics, this is incredibly detailed art. It's just really incredible. And shows all these different animals. And these are wordless. They have no text. They're just a day in the life of an animal going through survival of the fittest, crazy killing and dying and fighting. And this is the dinosaur surviving the asteroid. This one is a tiger, also scary. This one's a fox, a little cuter, really nice. And this one is a lion. And this one I have the German edition, although it doesn't matter because there's no text. But I wasn't able to find the English version of that one. So those are the love books, and they're very cool if you want something really different and to admire the art as well. This book, Grand Odolesque, is about a group of friends that breaks into the Louvre to steal some art. And it's about their relationships, and like some European comics, it has some sort of ennui about it. It has some existential thoughts and wondering what you're going to do with your life and should you do this thing or not, and goes in directions that you wouldn't expect. The coloring in it is really beautiful, just particularly nice sort of pastel and different interesting color combinations. And like a lot of European comics too, and I don't know if that's just reprinting them here or no, when I was over there and looked at some, they're like this. They're oversized. They're bigger than the standard American comic size, which is probably 8x10 or something. So this is another one, cutting edge. And it's a good thing that they're oversized because some of them have this incredibly detailed art and you wouldn't be able to see it otherwise. This one is sort of an interesting suspense thriller sci-fi type thing. And it's about a group of geniuses from around the world that are recruited by this secret organization. And you don't know what the organization's motives are, but they're recruited to sort of go along this scavenger hunt and solve these problems in order to win a prize, but you don't know what the prize is either. And it's just interesting having these incredibly smart geniuses try to get along and try to accomplish these tasks, all while there's this big mystery in the background. That's a really fun book. Something totally different. This is The Flower of the Witch. Totally stylized, really different looking artwork, a little cartoony. It's a medieval sort of mythological folklore book. And it's about a young boy on a quest to slay dragons, rescue people, fight a witch. Really nice coming-of-age tale set in mythological, medieval fantasy world. Here's one I just read recently, The Fall. Totally different setting. This is post-apocalyptic. There's a lot of post-apocalyptic comics, and I've gotten pretty sick of them. It's just a genre that I think has been completely overdone. I mean, you have The Walking Dead, and it was excellent, and then, like, I don't know, what else are you going to do? But this one was recommended by the comic book store, and it is, you know, again, with the really, really detailed art. And it's just about this family trying to survive. And it's a little more realistic, particularly in the beginning, about how society falls apart. And it's about a pandemic, and there's definitely some resonance with what's going on in the world. So that's a little frightening, but a good book. Switching up to something totally different. This book is Little Victories. This is about a man in France raising his autistic son. It was really interesting seeing the father try out these different methods to get through to his son and try to communicate with him. Another book here, Blacksad. This is one with anthropomorphic animals. And Blacksad is a panther. It's, you know, kind of like the Jungle Book, but he's a, instead of an animal setting, it's kind of like Zootopia, but instead of being fun, it's a mystery. Well, Zootopia had a whole conspiracy and mystery in it, so pretty similar. He's a private investigator, solving crimes and getting caught up in dangerous things and, you know, crazy happenings. And, and it has what another hallmark of some European comics, which is intermittent nudity. And all the different animals are different players in this story. They're all different types, and it's really well drawn and really interesting. That brings us to something as far away from that as you can imagine, and yet similar, books by Jason. Jason is a Norwegian artist who has done a series of many books, and they've been popular here as well. And they're cartoons. They're the simplest drawn things you can possibly imagine. I have a whole special section on my bookshelf for them. And like Blacksad, funny enough, even though the style is so different, they're anthropomorphized animals. So they're dogs and cats. I don't know for what reason, just to drive the point home and not have you focus on what the characters look like, I think. Or to be able to extrapolate them and think of yourself in their position or think of other people. But he does really weird stuff, sometimes mixing in real people or real characters, like he mixes in the Three Musketeers meeting Ernest Hemingway. It's really interesting. A time travel book about going back in time and killing Hitler, and what sort of funny things ensue from that. A lot of interesting, crazy, but funny, really subtle, sarcastic humor. That's a lot of fun. And that brings us to our last book I can recommend, which is one of the highest recommended here, which is Karmen. And I don't have a copy of the book because it wasn't published yet. It was published as individual comics here in the US. And it's about a girl who dies and exploring her afterlife and coming to terms with the fact that she's died. But the artwork is maybe the best artwork I've ever seen in a comic. It's the streets of the city with all this detail, and the girl flies around, so you see all these sights in the city from this perspective that you'd never imagine, this beautiful three-point perspective. It just has all these crazy curved angles and architecture, and the people are drawn so precisely and beautifully and realistically. And the story is really enjoyable as well. So that's one I highly recommend, Karmen. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. Please, if you want to hear more, like and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications as well. And I'll talk to you later.